Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chainsaw Reacts podcast, episode number 36. And today, guys, we are covering three topics, and those topics in order are: number one, are we seeing too much footage from Star Wars The Force Awakens? Getting into all of that, talking about the multiple TV spots, the international trailer, basically all the new footage we have gotten after the final trailer that Disney and Lucasfilm put out a few weeks ago. Just getting into that topic. Have we seen too much footage already? Are they putting out too much right now? Anyways, that's the first topic. The second topic will be, will Supergirl fail? Talking about the actual facts about viewership has gone down for the show, my personal opinion for the whole entire show. Will the show actually complete its first season, or any of that kind of stuff? So basically understand this topic about Supergirl, will it fail, is partly my opinion and also partly fact about how the actual general audience and all this kind of stuff have responded to the show and how the viewership has gone down each episode after the pilot. So understand that. The third and final topic will be, if CW decided to basically announce a fourth DC show, what show could it be and why? Basically going into all my opinion about what possible fourth show, if DC and not DC but CW and DC announced together, what show would it be, and basically how would that all work out? So there you have it, guys. Those are the three topics. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic, which is, have we seen too much footage from Star Wars The Force Awakens? Now, before I get into this whole topic, I do want to say real fast that the final trailer that they put out a couple weeks ago, the final trailer that was amazing, had a lot of depth, music cues, and a lot of great footage, was fantastic. And when they were saying this was the final trailer, I was very, very excited because I'm like, okay, well, this is great, a great final trailer. They can cut it down a little bit, make TV spots, not really show any new footage after this. This is a great way to kind of market this film, because the trailer had great length, over 2 minutes, I believe, had great footage, not a lot of story details, which was fantastic. And I'm like, this is great. Lucasfilm and Disney have done a fantastic job marketing this film. And then a couple days, about a couple weeks after that, basically out of nowhere, the international trailer drops. I reacted to it, obviously, and it was a great trailer. A lot of new footage, but at the same time, it didn't give too much story away, but we saw a lot of new shots, all this kind of stuff. So overall, it was a pretty good trailer, and people have even said they enjoyed the international trailer more than the final trailer that came out a couple weeks back. So there's that. Then, 2 days later, after the international trailer, Twitter promotes the first official TV spot for The Force Awakens. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is probably a cut down version of the international trailer from a couple days ago, or a cut down version from the final trailer, as they called it. Nope, most of that had new footage too. And then again, this past Thursday, they had a special look on ABC, and with this block of TV shows, they had this special look at The Force Awakens, and they showed new footage from there as well. Not as much new footage, but they showed some new shots, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And then literally today, apparently, another freaking behind-the-scenes / new footage came out today, showing off another villain that's going to be in the film that's not as high as Kylo Ren, but a villain nonetheless. And I'm thinking, okay. If this trend continues, where every couple days they have a special look, they have a new TV spot, eventually this is going to turn into a what you might call the Amazing Spider-Man 2 scenario. And what I mean by that is that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that came out in 2014, that Sony was still owning the rights before they had their little deal with Marvel, they showed at least, I would say, they've said 30 plus, 40 plus minutes of the film through TV spots and the first looks and all this kind of stuff and trailers. They showed way too much, and when you watch the movie, it kind of spoils a lot of the things, and they actually show you the ending of the movie in a trailer. So there you have that. I'm not saying Disney and Lucasfilm are going to be that dumb and show a lot of footage, like show Luke or something in a TV spot when they've hidden him for a reason. I don't think they're going to show that, Rey or Kylo Ren hypothetically are brother and sister. They spoil that in a TV spot or anything like that. I don't believe that. I'm just afraid they're going to show way too much of some really good fight scenes, some really cool flying scenes with the Millennium Falcon. They're going to show too much to the point where the stuff we're seeing is only the last bit of the movie, and we've seen most of the first and second act. I hope that's not the case. I hope Disney and Lucasfilm understand that this is Star Wars. They don't have to give all this stuff away. Now, if you want to do first looks, like behind the scenes stuff, like you want to show like a minute behind the scenes thing where you show like the making of the movie and you want to show all this kind of stuff, and maybe show like a behind the scenes where they're editing the movie, or where they're adding CGI, or they're adding effects, or you know actors and actresses interviews or whatever for the film and all this kind of stuff, and they're showing like them in a trailer, them behind the scenes, and them getting interviewed. It's like some kind of special or whatever. That's fine. But when they're showing footage from the possibility of the actual movie, because we understand trailers, they create a trailer and they release it based on how they think people will respond to it. So a lot of the times you'll see stuff in trailers that will not end up in the final product. So we're probably seeing some scenes, probably some shots from trailers and TV spots that are not going to be in the actual film, but still nonetheless we're getting a lot of footage really fast. Now, I think the reason why that there's so many first look, special look, TV spot this, TV spot that, international trailer, I believe they're doing this because they know they have at least $1 billion first weekend and week going to be earning this. This movie is going to earn $1 billion, the fastest, probably break a world record. The first movie to earn $1 billion in like 5 or 6 days. It's going to be insanity how fast this thing will be making money. And I think they understand that, you know, if we put too much trailers out and too much stuff that's new stuff, we're going to be spoiling the movie. But at the same time, they want everybody and their freaking mother to go see this movie. And they will, just don't push it down our throats with all this new footage and all this kind of stuff. I'm just afraid that once we get right to the week of the movie, we're probably have already seen half of the film through all these different TV spots and trailers. That's the problem with a movie this big, is that these international companies, you know, all these, you know, spin-offs from the actual Disney Corporation, who are like Disney Australia or whatever else. I don't even know what affiliates or whatever in whatever country for Disney, but they're gonna be slip ups. I mean, look what happened a couple months back with Marvel's Ant-Man. All of a sudden, randomly in some random 30th or 31st, 32nd TV spot for Ant-Man, they spoiled Falcon. Falcon was not announced for Ant-Man. They didn't show Falcon in any of the trailers or the TV spots before this one. Somebody fucked up. I'm afraid somebody's going to mess up, where someone's going to show Leia saying, hey, Rey is my daughter, or Kylo Ren is my son, or Luke Skywalker is shown in a TV spot when he wasn't supposed to, or you hear Han Solo say something about, I knew your dad, Finn, Lando Calrissian was a great guy. Just all these hypothetical. I'm not saying these are all true. I'm just saying if this stuff was being said in trailers, it would completely ruin it. Oh my God. So I'm hoping that they will learn that this is not the smart thing to do. To not put out too much footage. You know, they were very good at teasing every couple of months leading up to this film. Okay? We're a little over a month away. Literally a little over a month away. Please do not ruin it by putting too many TV spots out, too many trailers, too many extended TV spots, too many first looks and special looks, all this kind of stuff. Learn how to strategize that more. When they released that Comic-Con footage showing like a 4 or 5 minute, or maybe even longer, behind the scenes footage of Star Wars The Force Awakens, it was amazing, and everyone loved it because they got to see behind the scenes, seeing cast interviews, seeing, you know, them setting up sets and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. So I'm saying, instead of showing making a new TV spot every second or third day, release like an extended special look at behind the scenes of Star Wars The Force Awakens instead. People will still love that equally, maybe, you know, for the die-hard fans, will love that immensely if you put out behind the scenes stuff and showing these all extra cool stuff. But showing new footage every 2 or 3 days with a TV spot is not going to help. All it's going to do is make people go, well, I already saw that in the trailer. Well, that scene was kind of cool. I mean, it extended for about 30 more seconds after the trailer showed it, but I mean, I already kind of saw that. So for me, I don't want that to happen. I want people going to the theater and be surprised by like 90% of the film. So I'm hoping that what we're seeing is just shots early in the film, and all the really cool shit that we haven't seen yet is in later part of the film when they're not going to show it in any TV spots or extended trailers or all that kind of shit. So let's just be calm about it, and let's just slowly build to this thing. You know, every 9 or 10 days, release a new TV spot with maybe one flashing new thing, but have it mostly condensed stuff. Maybe switch up the pacing of what you're seeing on screen instead of, you know, just chopping down the the final trailer, show a couple scenes from the final trailer, the international trailer, and then cut it together and all that kind of stuff, and you can make it work. You can make these shots where you've seen the same stuff, but in different formats, maybe add a couple of different audio lines, but don't show new footage all the time. It's going to make people go, well, you're showing too much. That's my fear. Are we seeing too much? Maybe. But we won't know until we actually see the movie, but I'm hoping that Disney and Lucasfilm understand that this movie doesn't have to be marketing new TV spots every 2 or 3 days. It's already broken records for Fandango and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be sold anymore. Everybody in the world's going to go see this movie at least once. So let's keep that in mind. So anyways, let me take a sip of the drink, guys, and we'll get to the second topic, which might be controversial, but hey, I want to talk about it. Okay. My throat was about to go out there. And it still might, but Okay. Second topic is going to be, will Supergirl fail? Now, let me say this first off. I have seen all 3 episodes that have aired so far as I'm recording this podcast. I've seen the pilot, seen the second and the third episode. And I'm going to talk briefly about my thoughts about the first, second, and third episode, the pilot, the second, and the third one. And then I'm going to get into the possibilities of where it could go, why it could fail, and overall the reactions and the responses from fans and people who have watched the show, and compare it to the viewership and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll end the topic there. So let me start off first with my personal experiences from Supergirl. So first off, before I saw the pilot, I was instantly hooked. I was really excited for the show. The fact that Superman's going to be involved. Supergirl is a pretty good character. I want to see her origin. I want to see her become a Supergirl. They said it was going to be an origin kind of story where she's going to learn how to become like her cousin, which is cool. So the pilot, I felt, was a great introduction. Now, there were some girly moments. Now, understand, when I mean girly moments, I don't mean like, oh my god, I can't stand girls. I can't stand, these sweet moments. It's not that. It's over the top, okay? For me, I would rather see her in the suit, being Supergirl, than her just being Kara. You know what I mean? To me, I understand. She has to have a day job. She has to try to live a normal life. That was her whole point, try to live a normal life on Earth and all that kind of stuff. She didn't want to expose herself as being a hero like Superman, which is understandable. I get it. But I hate her boss. I hate her boss to death. I don't like her job, but her job has helped her to meet 2 guys, Jimmy Olsen, I forget the other guy's name, who are now helping her with crime fighting around the city, which is, I guess, fine. But overall, I felt the pilot, minus the over-the-top girly things, and just get to the part where you're going to become a superhero. That's what I want to see. I want to see that evolution there. I don't want to see her at her day job. I just don't care about it. So when she becomes Supergirl and all this kind of stuff, and the CGI and the flying and all that kind of stuff, the story, it was pretty good. Had a couple missteps, like I've been saying, but it was a decent pilot, and I was very interested. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Then they reveal that, hey, Supergirl's mom's twin sister is evil, and she is going to be taking over. She's going to be coming to attack Supergirl and all this kind of stuff, and she's going to fight her niece. It's going to be a whole family issue. So it was a pretty good episode. I would say about an 8 out of 10. Pretty decent. Pretty good. A pretty decent start of the TV series, and it almost earned 13 million views, which is great. So 13 million people watched the pilot, close enough. So that was very, very good. The second episode, where you finally get to meet her, there's also another villain, I forget his name, but there's another guy, but she shows up, the aunt of Supergirl, and they have a fight and all this kind of stuff. It was still a pretty decent episode. The CGI got a little bit iffy, but it was still overall a pretty solid episode for what it was. I just felt like that the pacing was still kind of off, and it just felt like, okay, so they really don't know. They don't know what balance they're going to be going with here. Because we have Supergirl, and she's doing her fighting, and she's being Supergirl and all this kind of stuff, but they're not really exactly sure, what's the balance going to be between being her a superhero and her being living a normal life with a normal job. But I felt like it was a pretty decent episode. It was at least a 7.5. It went a little down, but at least it held up with the fact that we finally see what we assume will be the overall big baddie, which is her mom's sister, the twin sister, essentially, her aunt. So that's fine, okay? the third episode, she actually fought a Superman villain, Reactron. I believe that he's Superman villain. I've been reading that he is a Superman villain, and this is where I get really bothered by the show. Now, this has nothing to do with the fact that she's a girl. I want to reiterate that again. It's the way they explain certain things on the show that I just could not believe it. Okay, so it's been believed, even though Superman has been a hero for a long time. Okay. Superman could not defeat Reactron, yet Supergirl was told one piece of information and she was able to defeat Reactron. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. No, I don't. He shows up in the middle of Reactron and Supergirl's fight. He shows up, you don't see his face. He saves Supergirl and all this kind of stuff, which is fine. Okay, cool. Cameo from Superman. You don't see his face. Okay, fine. Whatever. Then they kick you in the nuts. They kick you in the freaking nuts with the fact that at the end of the episode, I'm going to go back because this is not the end of this. They go back and no, go back. They get to the part where she's on like a messaging thing or whatever on her computer, and she's talking to Clark Kent, aka Superman, and they're talking like they're high school kids. What the fuck? What the fuck, people? Are you kidding me? Okay, look, I understand some people enjoyed that, some people like that, but oh my god. If you wanted me to be more invested in Supergirl, and you're heavily referencing Superman, let her go on top of the building and Superman fly down and they have a conversation face to face and all this kind of stuff. Not this bullshit IMing fucking messaging on your computer. What the god, that annoyed me so much. Because they're basically saying, they're dangling Superman in front of you. They're dangling him right in front of you on screen. Superman. We're not going to show you. No. He saved Supergirl. Oh, they're messaging. Oh, we're going to take it away. That just bothers me to no end. It really does. It just bothered me. Because, like, they basically are, like, trying so hard for you to like her because she's just like Superman, but we're not going to show him. It's just really annoying. She needs the guidance to become a hero. And who better than her freaking cousin? But of course, they're not going to do that. I don't even know if they even have the rights to show him in person. They could do little cameos, but they don't have the rights. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But if you're able to use Superman, you're able to use Clark Kent, and you're able to do all this kind of bullshit you've been doing, show him. I understand it's Supergirl's show, but if you're going to be heavily referencing Superman every freaking episode so far, you've been doing heavily referencing him every episode. You have Jimmy Olsen, who's a friend of Superman, and all this kind of shit. Show him. Stop fucking teasing. Show him. Okay, so there you have that. The other quick thing I do want to mention is that, especially for the third episode, Reactron versus Supergirl, the fight choreographing was horrible. The fight sequences were terrible. I'm sorry. I understand that it's a TV show, there's a budget and all this kind of stuff, and they have limited all this kind of stuff. But look at Arrow. Look at Flash. Amazing fight sequences. They're completely different because Arrow and all the team have to fight all this kind of stuff with their hands and all this kind of stuff in combat and arrows. Flash has his speed and his villains have different powers and all this kind of stuff. It just works. Both of them are completely different fighting styles. Fighting different styles on the TV shows. But Supergirl is different as well. But they are just bland punches, bland blocks, bland hits, bland, hit Supergirl over to a car. She picks up a door and throws it at Reactron. Then she goes to fight, punch 3 times. He blocks all the times, punches her in the face. It's very mediocre and bland. Now you can say, well, Supergirl isn't trained. Then somebody train her to fight. She has the ability to kill somebody with like a regular human being with one punch. Yet her technique is so horrible, I'm surprised that none of her villains, even her aunt, hasn't killed her yet. How in the world is that possible? If she can't fight a guy, and they said Reactron is not even a freaking, an alien or anything. He's just some dude with high tech. You're telling me that she could not hurt him enough to paralyze him or basically impair him to where he could not go anywhere? You're telling me that? I'm sorry. That is just garbage. Oh my god. I didn't expect myself to go into this rant. So anyways, I'm off my little spiel there. I had to rant because I had to say something. And I might as well say it on a podcast where maybe not everybody hears it. But look, it's just, I'm going to record episode 4. I'm going to watch episode 4. But I'm worried. Anyways, let's get to the actual overall reaction and responses to fans and the viewership. Now, first, let's get to the actual viewership first, because the responses from people online have been kind of similar to mine. So the viewership has gone down tremendously. Like I was saying, 12.9 million people watched it, the pilot. Then it dropped pretty drastically on the second episode, and it dropped again on the third episode. Now, CW ratings, which has Arrow and Flash, and they're going to be having Legends of Tomorrow and all this kind of stuff, and they have different shows. CW high ratings are completely different than what CW and completely different from CBS and NBC and Fox and all this kind of stuff. CW high ratings is like over 1.5 million people watch an episode. That's great numbers for the CW. But for NBC and Fox and all those other kind of affiliates that are, bigger TV programs and bigger TV companies, that is very, very low. So with 12.9, that's a pretty big deal. But once it gets down to like 4, 5, 3 million, that's getting pretty low. Now, Supergirl hasn't reached that low yet, but each episode after the pilot had a high rating, and it's gone down tremendously since then. They've been dropping by millions. So for me, I'm just like nervous. Now, people have said that if Supergirl continues to drop after episode 4, it drops again from what the third episode viewership was, and episode 5 drops even lower than the fourth one, they'll be concerned. But if it levels out where around episode 2 and 3 were, then it will succeed and it will continue to be a successful show on the network. But if it continues to drop even more after episode 3's viewerships, it might be in jeopardy of being canceled before they complete the first season. Now, do I think that the show will possibly fail because it's a girl superhero as the main title? No, I don't believe that. I believe it's the direction they took the show. Now, when I saw the first look at Supergirl a couple months ago, I didn't like the first little bit. Her being in her office, normal life. Oh, fuck, I just hated it. And then when I actually got the part where she actually is flying, she saved her sister on a plane, she's wearing the suit, she's becoming Supergirl. Okay, the trailer picked up for me for the show. So I was interested in the show, okay? Could they fix it before it's too late? I don't know. Just depends on how far ahead they are now in filming. Because if they're hypothetically, the 4th episode airs this coming Monday. They're filming right now episode, hypothetically, 9, 10, or 11, or 12, whatever. They're far ahead. And they've still not changed too much of the show since episode 1, 2, and 3, where it's basically the same, and, it's the same issues and problems that people are having with the show, and it's continuing in episode 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever they're at now. Then there's no helping. There's no helping the show. Because reading the responses online are insane. People hate the show. There are people that enjoy the show. There are a lot of people that like the show, but there are a lot more people that have been tweeting very nasty things. They've been on Facebook complaining and attacking because they feel like that the show just could be more than what it is. And it could be more than what it is. Unfortunately, it's not. So, seeing all this response from people, seeing the viewership has gone down each episode, seeing the quality of the episodes have gone down since the pilot, which I feel like they put a lot more work into the pilot, CGI, story-wise, and all this kind of stuff, and narrative and direction, because the pilot sold the show. And I feel like after that point, episode 2, and now especially episode 3, even more than episode 2, episode 3 has just gone down, in my personal opinion. The story is just bland. The choreography for fighting is terrible. They just don't know what the show is. They just kind of go, okay, well, she's a girl, so she has to have a normal job. She's a writer, blah, 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 blah. Her boss is a bitch, and we're going to continue with this. And, figure out what the show is and run with it. If they want to keep this narrative and they want to keep this direction they're going, the show's probably going to fail. But it's not because of the fact that she's a girl. It's the fact that they have made poor decisions for the show. They've made just bad decisions for how they're taking the show. So understand that, my issues with the show is not because she's a girl. It's because they just don't know what they're doing with it. It's kind of like Gotham, okay? I still watch Gotham, but at least Gotham is sticking with this. It had a formula and have changed it slightly for season 2 and have gone in a more darker direction and more of trying to stick with comic books and trying to be, a little bit different. They've changed it up. Supergirl, even though we haven't had a full season, we don't have a season 2, obviously, so we don't know what's going to happen. So overall, it's just going to be, what's the best decision, I guess. Stick with what it is now, and hopefully the people will stay around, or change it up in a couple episodes and, and try to take it to a different direction. Not really sure. So there you have it, guys. Anyways, take a sip of the drink. We'll get to our final topic of the podcast. Okay, guys, so the third and final topic will be If CW picked up a fourth DC show, what could it be? So I'm gonna come up with. I have come up with a couple different ideas. I have three primary ideas that I think could work and all this kind of stuff, and I'll get into basically why they would for each one. So, show number one idea, as you see in the picture, Constantine. Now, obviously, there's a reason why I picked this, because he was on Arrow, and it was great. It was a great episode. Now, some people had issues with the pacing. Some people had issues with the fact that it wasn't a Constantine-heavy episode per se, but they really enjoyed the interaction between Constantine and the Arrow crew. Now, what they could do is that after season 4 and season 2 of Flash end, and they renew season 5 of Arrow, season 3 of Flash, they could basically bring on Constantine as a third show that airs either on Thursdays or Mondays. And so, if it airs on Thursdays, the show is the episode you're seeing has happened in the timeline after the Flash episode and the Arrow episode of that week. If it happens on Monday, then Flash and Arrow are going to be happening in the timeline after Constantine's episode, so there could be some interaction and obviously crossovers. Now, I think that's the biggest option for me personally. That's the most easiest bet, is because they've already introduced him into the world. He's officially canon in the Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow canon in the universe, essentially. So what that means is that his 13-episode series is canon. Now, where it happens in the timeline, I'm not really sure. They could say it happened during season 2 of Arrow and all this kind of stuff, before Barry had his powers. Okay. Or they could say it happened, whatever. They could say it happened season 1 of Arrow. Whatever. They could come up with an idea of how it worked in the timeline and all this kind of stuff if they decide to pick it up. There's a petition online. I'm going to link the petition in the description, hopefully, if it will work. Linking to the petition to save Constantine, because I believe, even if CW doesn't pick it up, if another network or even Netflix picks it up or something like that, a major place where people can still watch it, with, for whatever reason, they could still do crossovers because the show is connected to Arrow and Flash. So I would love it if Netflix picked it up for like a 13, 14, whatever episode pickup, or 10 episodes, and they had crossovers from Arrow and Flash or other characters from the universe, because it's all canon. So that'd be the best personal fit, because they've already introduced the character officially in the universe and all this kind of stuff, and Constantine's a pretty badass character. The second pick I would personally go with, and if in order for this pick to work, they would have to cancel one show in order for it to officially work. Batman. Now, here's why, obviously, because the writers and the writers, and especially the executive producers and all that kind of stuff for the shows, for Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow, even Gotham, and Supergirl too. They've all been doing all these DC shows on different networks. They've wanted to use Batman for a long time, and unfortunately, DC and Warner Brothers just will not give them Batman to use in the universe. Now, in order for them to officially use Batman, I think in the universe, Gotham has to be canceled. Now, for me, I'll be happy with it. I'll be fine. After season 2, cancel Gotham, bring Batman into the universe, season 5 of Arrow, season 3 of Flash, crossover. When they have the crossovers, Batman shows up. That's a backdoor pilot for the Batman show or whatever to start. I think that'd be a fantastic thing. Now, I would think that in order for it to, if they really wanted it to be an interesting tie-in, is you make some kind of reference that directly refers back to Gotham, where this is the same Bruce Wayne from the Gotham universe, and he's aged up and all this kind of stuff. And maybe they bring back the actor who played Alfred to be in the show or be in the crossover, and then they go and create a Batman show. Now, what would they call it? Batman, The Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader, anything like that. Just something referencing Batman. You could just call it whatever, really, but that's my personal top pick. But Constantine makes more sense. That's why I put it as my first, because they've already introduced the character. But Batman would be my second pick, because that character is just awesome. Batman is the best. Oh my god. And you can tell that the writers for Arrow season 1 and 2 really wanted to use Batman, and unfortunately they couldn't, so they made Oliver Queen darker, more brooding, because they couldn't use Batman. If they had Batman, Oliver would have been a lighter character, and Batman would show up from time to time, even if he didn't have his own show in season 1 and season 2, being the brooding, dark character. But since they couldn't use Batman, they had to make Oliver that. So, it was a nice trade-off, but I really want Batman on the show. So, bring him up for next seasons of both shows in the crossover, backdoor pilot, bring on the Batman, and then all this kind of stuff, and we'll be happy as hell. Third and final pick, which they have teased it tremendously in these seasons of Arrow and Flash this season is Green Lantern Hal Jordan. Oh my God. They've been teasing Coast City, which is where he's from. They had, during the flashback when Oliver was in Coast City, when he was about to pass out, you see on an aviator's jacket the word Jordan, which is Hal Jordan, which is the original Green Lantern. Now, they have said multiple times they're just teases, they're hints, they're Easter eggs. They're not going to be doing Green Lantern, but I have a strong feeling that Green Lantern's going to be introduced at the end of Arrow or the end of Flash this season or something like that. And I'm not saying it's going to be leading to a show, but they could easily bring in these Justice League members slowly throughout these shows and build up to a special 8-episode Justice League miniseries on CW in a couple years. Be fantastic. You'd have Arrow, you'd have Flash, Green Lantern, you'd have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Oh my God. It'd be amazing if they could do this. Now the problem is that CW and Warner, it's not CW, but mostly Warner Brothers and DC, bunch of two-letter words. Have the two-letter things. I have to make sure I get them correctly. Warner Brothers and DC are very cautious about what characters CW and now Fox and CBS is allowed to use for their shows. Gotham, Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. So they're very careful. So I think in season 3 they wanted to use, I believe, Hal Jordan or somebody, and they wanted to use Ted Kord, I think, which is the Blue Beetle, and I think that they were turned down, so they got the Atom instead. But they wanted to use these other characters. So, when they go in, when these writers and these executive producers go in and have meetings at Warner Brothers and DC about characters, they're told what characters they can't and can use. So, you can't have him, but we'll give you him. You can't have her, but we'll give you her. It's a whole spiel deal, but I think Green Lantern would really work if they're teasing and hinting at all this kind of stuff. If they're teasing the character, introduce the character. You don't even have to give him the ring. Just introduce Hal Jordan and all this kind of stuff, and we'll get it. Because they introduced Barry Allen in Arrow in season 2. Now, obviously, he got his powers at the end of the second part of his episode, but they could introduce Hal Jordan as a character, but he just doesn't have his ring yet. So they could do that. So, anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts about any of these 3 topics. Thank you guys for listening. Check out past podcasts if you've not heard them or whatever. Be greatly appreciated. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go. My throat's about to pass out. I'm about to die. I'm about to pass out. Blah. Anyways, words. I'm done talking. Peace out, guys.